So you guys know I love my Nitro Z20, right? We've done a bunch of boat walkthroughs, so it's really gonna take like something big for me to do another boat walkthrough. Well, this is literally probably one of the coolest boats for mods as well as for what it is. You guys know I love tin boats. This is the most modded, pimped out tin boat I have ever seen in my life. Stay tuned, hit that like and subscribe button. You are not gonna wanna miss this. So I got my buddy Lee right here. Oh. Evacuate. What's your Instagram, buddy?
Lee means business.
Lee means business, and let me tell you, he means business with his boat. Let me just show you this thing real quick. This is what, a Tracker?
It's a Tracker Classic XL.
Tracker Classic XL, and it should be called a Tracker Classic XL Pimp LXZ Golden, because some of the things he did to this thing are absolutely insane. This is practically like a John boat on steroids, dude. It's nuts. So I'm gonna have Lee run through some of the specs and some of the mods he did. It's kind of crazy too, because if you guys remember way back in the videos, I used to have a Tracker 175, which I thought I pimped out at the time. Lee makes my pimp out look pretty shabby actually. But let's get started. Lee, tell me the basic specs on this thing. What size are we looking at? What do you got on the back?
So it's basically a 17-foot boat. They come in either a 40 or a 50 horsepower engine on the back. I actually bought the ECM to upgrade it to a 60 horsepower motor, so get about 4 or 5 miles an hour further faster with it. So it's not stock with a 60, like I said, it comes with a 40 or a 50, but I went ahead and put the ECM chip in it. It gets up out of the hole pretty quick for what I got all on it.
So let's take a look at what he's got on the rear. So it is a 60 horsepower, it's a modded Mercury 4-stroke, and then what do you got here? You got talons?
Yeah, we got 10-foot talons. I did have to add the tilt brackets so that it would clear the steering arm on the other side. That's the main reason for this tilt brackets. I don't really need to tilt them down to get in my garage or anything, but it was mainly to set them off to the back about another couple inches so it would clear that steering arm on it.
So one of the biggest challenges with these tin boats is, and by the way, like somebody's gonna tag me in the comments for calling it a tin boat. It's kind of like one of those things where if you have one or if you are one, you can say it. So I'm a tin boat owner, or a former tin boat owner, so I'm allowed to say that. It doesn't have to be like an aluminum or a metal, but it's a tin boat, bro. Like they're great rigs. But one of the biggest challenges is this right here, the back and space management when it comes to gas and battery. So tell me a little bit about what you did back here, Lee.
So they come with a 6-gallon gas tank, which I've heard that you can actually get quite a bit of range out of it. I think one of the big mods that people who own these boats do is they want to upgrade to a 12-gallon tank. So upgrade to a low-profile 12-gallon Scepter tank. I've got the Impulse lithium battery system in it. So I've got a 36-volt battery and a 12-volt dual. It's dual because it's actually a starting thing, which is kind of a bit of a, you know, not a lot of people are running the lithiums as a starting battery right now, but Bill at Impulse Lithium, he'll set you up with a complete package. It definitely starts the engine up just fine. The 12 volt, it actually is more like 13.6 is what I'm reading out of it, but I've got the Victron charging system too, so it'll actually draw off the engine. It's similar to, I believe it's the PowerPole Charge, where it'll balance out the batteries too. So I've had zero issues at all with getting a low battery. And as we'll see up towards the front, I've got all kinds of electronics, stereo system on it, obviously the talons too. So I've had zero issues out of the batteries, been really happy with them. Also shout out to Nathan and Mac at C-Clear Power. I've got a C-Clear power harness running to the trolling motor, and I've got a C-Clear power harness running to all of my graphs and units.
Yeah, a friggin' stereo system, dude. So like, this thing looks like my Nitro sitting in the captain's seat. Check this out. What do you all got going on here? I see this. Tell me a little bit about this right here.
Right, so this is the RA770 by Fusion Entertainment. It's one of the Garmin brands. So actually with the Fusion, the cool thing about Fusion and Garmin being together is that it's all integrated. I have a N2K backbone in the boat, so I'm able to control the stereo from the graphs, the unit, the Fusion Link app on our phone. I also have the Quad X7 on, and you can control the stereo from the watch through Spotify or whichever you prefer to use. And I've got the mini micro jacker Atlas jack plate on the back, so we got the finger flex trim for it up here. Also mounted one of my Talon remotes on the front here. Got a 12 volt cigarette lighter here that I can plug in, plug my USBs and stuff up to. And then also it's got a little small, I think it's about a 9-gallon or so live well on it, but let's see it reach down here. I've got the new Engel system for it, so that's my aerator. Really cool thing about this is it plugs in with a USB, which I can charge from here. It's also got interval timing on it too, because there's not really a great aerator system in the live well, but I've got basically a aquarium stone in the live well, which we can look at. But this runs on, I think it's got 3 different intervals you can use to do it. So this is actually a really good system if you don't have a robust live well that come on most bass boats. I've got 2 Echomap Ultra 106 SVs here. They're the 10-inch ones. I built a custom mount for it. So to do that, I also had to cut down the windshield. I've got some micro washers on here to kind of clean it up. But I've got 2 tins here. Obviously I work for Garmin. I probably could have gotten whatever I wanted, but in tins is all I need. And this is kind of an old trick that you yourself used to do a lot. I've been a big advocate in the past too. I've got my right side imaging going from here, my left side imaging going from here. So I've got 20 inches of screen for my side imaging. And of course I've got the new Navionics Vision Plus map card in it, relief shading, satellite imagery, all that fun stuff.
So most important question, by far the most important question, what track makes a bass bite?
Probably have to go with some jelly roll. Pick your jelly roll.
So moving up to the front, this is probably one of the most engineering, like custom mods that he did. So back in the day when I had my tracker, it did not have an extended deck. I bought it before the new ones that had the pull down deck. I used a PVC structure. Shout out to my buddy Sean in Gainesville who actually showed me how to build it. The PVC structure and framing allowed me to extend the deck, but also save weight. The ideal way to do it is exactly how Lee did it, but it takes a lot more work, a lot more edges and cornering and custom work. But show me a little bit about how you modded, because the normal deck cuts off right here, that's correct?
Yeah.
All right, so what did you do right here?
So I think one of the biggest mods that a lot of guys do, and a big shout out to Matt from Bread for Bass, a big shout out to Rob from Extreme Boating. I watched their videos probably like 10 times a piece, pausing and trying to take notes and make measurements and stuff. But this is the casting deck extension that I decided to build. Basically took some jigs, jigged the carpet, did a cardboard jig for the casting deck itself. There's part numbers and stuff. Again, if you reference Matt or Rob's videos, you can get part numbers for a lot of this. Just tried to make it as kind of factory looking as possible. The midnight gray carpet. Big thing too, I think, is this guy right here when you curve around from that. But essentially I built the frame out of aluminum. Took a note from the big bass boats, added a couple stringers here to give it some more support, put some struts on it to keep the doors up. As you can see, I've got it loaded down with Plano 3600 and 3600 style boxes.
But that's all framed out with aluminum, like you basically built an aluminum box. Like that's sturdy, dude.
Correct, and we'll probably throw something up on the screen to kind of show you the progression of it, but it was aluminum. And the aluminum obviously being a lot lighter than if you tried to build it with 2x4s or something. And hey, 2x4s works, or PVC or whatever works for you. But my main concern was trying to keep the weight down, because I knew I was going to load it down with tackle. Like everybody who fishes, we're all tackle junkies. So I wanted to keep the weight down. I think the actual metal box, aluminum frame, weighs about 20 pounds. So it's super, super light.
And this is like Home Depot stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah. Fortunately, I live about 2 miles from my local Home Depot, so I made about 6 or 7 trips there. Had to buy extra aluminum because I didn't have enough at first. But yeah, it's all Home Depot stuff. Staple gun carpet. I did stainless steel staples with the carpet glue. I got basically a oil-based paint here.
I gotta flip around to show you guys this one. So this is it's all about little intricacies and space management. Like we talked about the batteries, the gas tank. These are small boats. That's a reality you have to deal with. So making sure that you're economizing all the space that you have possible is hugely important. And tell me a little bit about this mod, because this is something, I didn't do it as fancy. These are the Berkeley rod holders, which is what I did on the side of my boat. But how did you set that up? It's like a rod hole kind of thing.
Right, yeah. I think for ease of building this, it's definitely a headache with a lot of measuring and whatnot. The old saying, measure twice, cut once. A lot of guys, quote unquote, delete this part right here. Again, with space being a factor on a small boat, I wanted to keep the factory rod storage that came on the boat. There's actually tubes in there, so I added the Berkeley rod holder so I could get an extra rod or two in there. But yeah, I just did a little measuring and just went the extra step to make sure that I was able to keep and maximize that rod storage space.
Once again, space. It's all about space. So this boat has one singular live well.
Yeah, one tiny live well.
And it's located on the front right here, but you did some mods to it. So tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, so I added the ventilation system. I believe the company's VT, this might be the VT2 model.
Okay.
So I added the ventilation system. This is something I've had on all my boats. I'm a big proponent of it. You know, don't tournament fish as much as I used to, but you know, when I did, I've really felt like that in combination with G-Juice is really what kind of kept my fish alive. So I added that ventilation system. And then on the inside, again, what we talked about earlier with the Engel aerator, just added a simple aquarium stone to it. So that gives it a little bit, keeps that water moving, so that you got the gas exchanges going there, keeps the fish alive.
Lee, I hate to be that guy, but I don't think you can fish with me in Florida. It's not going to fit on my 10-pounder.
Yeah, and the 40-pound bag's probably not going to fit in there.
But it's to have a live well on a boat like this, it's perfectly fine. Especially, I'm a big fan of CPR, you know, catch, picture, release. And if you got a big fish, you can toss her in there real quick, fill it up, keep her wet, keep her breathing, get your picture and move forward. But this is absolutely cool too. So you have this extended deck, you got all this extra space, and then you got an absolutely killer like front deck setup. So tell me a little bit about what you got laid out right here. I see the Garmin trolling motor. Is that like the 36 volt version, like the big boy version?
Yeah, that's the 36 volt. Of course, it's a dual, so it can run off a 24 volt or a 36 volt. It just recognizes the battery system that you have hooked up to it. But again, I've got the 36 volt impulse lithium in the back powering it.
Have you clocked how fast you can go with just the trolling motor?
Yeah, you're pushing close up to 5 miles an hour with just a trolling motor. It's certainly overpowered for the boat, but
not when you get in that grass, dude.
When you get in that grass, when you get in that current, you know. So this is my second Force. I had one on my last boat.
So one other thing I noticed about that Garmin Force is that you have that TH Marine nut. So I know there's a lot of opinions online. I had one on my old Triton and I kind of liked it, but what's your take on it? Is it full reel or not full reel?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things with the Force is that it's a brushless motor, so it's already eliminating a lot of noise, which I think that was one of the things that the prop nut was sold on back in the day. For me, I've always run them on my trolling motors, mainly because I don't have to have tools to take the prop off. So if I get, you know, some braid or something caught up in the prop, I can just hand wrench that nut off and be able to clean my prop and put it back on without having to have any tools in it. So for me, it's more of an easy use thing than what probably one of the functionalities it was sold on.
And then you can't miss this unit up on the front. So, and I love this hoe. So he's got a hoe mount. Yeah, I'd love to mount a hoe. So tell me a little bit about what you got going on up here.
Yeah, so this is actually the Hennessy Outdoor Electronics.
Sure it is. Sure it
over
is.
6 inch over the foot
I like
pedal
that
mount.
how you have it elevated. I mean, it makes it a lot easier to see.
Yeah, one of the main things I wanted to do when I got the foot tray is that I wanted to have a cup holder there, not because I'm going to put a drink or anything but it's mainly just a catch-all for stuff. And then I've got my second remote for my talons mounted right here. And then I've added to it the DD26 pedal pad. So one of the big things, and it was actually one of the, believe it or not, one of the hardest things I've installed on this boat was the retractable rod buckles. Big fan of those, not only because you get a little bit of extra length right here, but you have the ability to kind of stack rods up if you're in a hurry.
Yeah.
So if you're not doing your Brian Thrift thing where they're all nicely laid out on the boat, you can actually just wrap it over all those. But that was actually one of the toughest accessories I added to the boat. I've got the Garmin SteadyCast here. So this is my heading sensor.
Is that like my 0.1 on my Lowrance pretty much? It keeps you straight all the time?
Similar,
kind of
yeah. It keeps your boat icon on your unit straight. So the main thing too, and as you know, and a lot of you guys that fish offshore, when you spot lock or anchor lock mode down in the current and whatnot, the wind might be blowing the boat one way, which kind of changes the way that the boat orientation icon looks on the graph. So I've got the Echomap Ultra 126 SV here. So this is our 12-inch Echomap.
And you went with the bigger one because you have your forward-facing sonar and you want mapping on there, is that right?
Yeah, and again, space being limited, you know, I probably could have stacked a couple things up here, but this is exactly, again, this is the same setup I ran on my last boat with the 2 10s at the console and a 12 up front. One of the
which
cool
was
things,
a nitro, which was a 19-foot, like a much bigger boat. So you're running big bass boat stuff on here.
Yeah. My last 3 boats have all been 21-foot nitros. So I went with the same setup, the 12-inch graph here. And the cool thing about Garmin is that you can, there's different ways you can set up the stuff so that basically I have a sliver of mapping over here. So I'm able to have just a sliver of mapping off to the side. And then I have my live scope image here to the right. Running the live scope plus, man, it's just been a really incredible upgrade from the LVS 32, the original live scope that we came out with. We just came out with the plus this year, and it's just been an incredible piece of equipment to use.
So last thing, we are going to jump to the trailer, and I do want to show you one thing before Lee shows you one of the mods that he did. This is the Bass Tracker Classic, so it's kind of a retro throwback, as you can see. And one of the coolest things is they put the old retro rims and the retro wheels and the little what do you call those, like the running guards or whatever, dude. They put everything like super like 1972. Like you should almost have like a one-piece like vestibule. That's what I'm gonna call it, a vestibule. It's actually like a one-piece, like, you know, giddy up for going to fishing tournaments with patch. I should actually fish in one of those. Get like a pink one, you know, with a bunch of patches. But back to the boat. So what'd you do to mod this trailer out a little bit?
Well, before we get into the trailer, you'll notice that the factory
That's
boat
right.
comes with red striping and red logos. I'm an Auburn guy. I'm not a big red color fan. So my neighbor, shout out to Blair Barnes. He owns Barnes Sides in Madison, Alabama. I got him the logo, and I got him the Garmin candy blue color code. So we changed all the red to the Garmin blue. He changed all the logos for me down to the trailer.
That's like 56 Caddy, dude.
Yeah.
I like that blue.
And I wanted to keep the logo. I know a lot of guys pull it off and stuff, or maybe even change it to something else, but you know, the boat screams, you know, the retro look, and it's an homage to Johnny Morris and what he did with this boat. You know, I wanted to keep the logo on there, and I kind of like it, so I just changed the color to it. But I'm moving on to the trailer. One of the big things I did here was I added a step to it, which is really handy. As everybody knows, it's hard getting in and out of this thing.
Getting old, Lee.
So,
Lee's getting old.
Yeah, man, I'm getting up there now these days. So I added that step. I also added a MegaWare kill guard to it. Now, it's not necessarily recommended by MegaWare from what I've read to put a kill guard on an aluminum boat, but we have a place down on Smith Lake, the ramp next to my house down there. It doesn't have a dock, so you have to beach your boat. And I know it's an aluminum boat, but hey man, I want to keep it looking good and make it last a long time. So I put that MegaWare kill guard on there, added the spare tire with the lock, and we'll put some stuff down in the description below to let you guys know, you know, all the mods and stuff. That way you can go check it out yourself, because you know, this is not all original from me. I definitely got the idea from you guys, from Matt, from Rob, from a lot of people out there on YouTube land and on the message boards and stuff. So you know, they were a big influence to me, and I just want to keep passing that forward and let you guys know what all I did. We'll have it listed down below in the description, and that way you can probably do some of this stuff yourself.
I'm not giving up my nitro, but for like 2 seconds, I'm like, you know, this is pretty pimp, dude. Like if I get a little tin boat, and I was actually thinking about down the line, if I can make enough money, it's always about money, right? But down the line, we have a couple like 25 horsepower and less lakes around here, and I really want to do like a John boat mod, get some old kind of junky John boat, gut it like I did to my old one, and redo it, pimp it out, put like 12-inch Lowrance HGS Lives on it. But that's another video. We will see. Lee, if they have any questions for you or anything like that, where can they get you on social media?
Yeah, so if you guys want to hit me up on Instagram, it's at Lee Means Business.
I will put links to everything that I can find down below in the description box, so you guys can go check them out. But we are checking out, I want to go get in this thing and go for a little ride, so I will let you know how it goes. Tight lines, hit that like and subscribe button. Let me know what you think of this pimp tin boat.